Hey guys, how are y'all today? Welcome from Michigan. I am in my short sleeves. I'm guessing you guys are not. It is a nice, lovely, sunny 72 degrees here today. I actually have the AC on. Now, come this weekend, it'll be heat again, but this week we are nice and sunny and warm today. Exciting. I like spring. I'm very excited to see warmer weather. Our Christmas was very, very cold, very, very cold. So there are a couple of questions that came in. So I'm going to address those first. And then I have a little bit of fun for us to play with, just to do something a little bit different. 83 there in Florida. Well, wow. You're almost too warm. But I am a 70 degree kind of girl. What was that? Was it Legally Blonde where what is your perfect, no, wasn't Legally Blonde. What was it? Miss Congeniality. What is your perfect day date? Well, it's not too hot. It's not too cold. It's just perfect. That's me. So, 70 degrees is absolutely marvelous in my book. I am very happy when it gets to that. And that is it's no hot flashes, none of that. It's just a really nice day out today. Not a cloud in the sky. All right, guys. So let's from Germany. Well, welcome, Katharina. Good to see you here. A very pollinated 82-degree environment. I'm betting, yes, the pollen is about to start massively here. So, yeah. It's getting that time. You just got a new Stellaire. Well, congratulations, Susan. You'll enjoy it. It's a fun machine, a very fun machine. Okay, guys. So let's get started. So first of all, remember, share it, both on the YouTube channel and here on my Facebook page. Tell people where you're from because you never know. Somebody may be stitching right next to you, and it looks like there's a lot of girls from Michigan in here today. Which y'all know this is a Michigan accent, right? I did live there for a little while and I enjoyed it, but it is not quite. I never did get rid of my accent. We just don't do that. It's just it's kind of hard. You got to it just sticks with you. All right. So I am going to answer Sandra's question first. So Sandra, your question was, how do you get it to print back to where it splits to 2 pages and instead of one where it cuts off part of things. So it is a weird thing. It is probably a little bug that you found, but I figured out how to get it back to what you want. So if you have your hoop set at something that is like 272 by 408, and you have gone in and let's make something on our page here so we have something. And you go up here and you choose print and you choose print setup. This little menu appears. If at some point you have decided print, divide embroidery image into 2 pages, when you go to print preview, it is going to be split for you, okay? Now, if you don't want it to do that, and you want to get that setting to where you can get it back, this is the weird part. Go in and select your hoop. So right here is your hoop selection menu. Go and choose, and don't ask me why it's this particular hoop, but it is the 180 by 300, which is the 7 by 12, I believe. Choose that one and click OK. And then shrink your embroidery to fit in it. Doesn't really matter at this point. Then go back up to the application button and choose print setup. And when you go over here, that divide embroidery into 2 pages will pop up. Okay, that hoop right there is the magic hoop that lets you choose whether divided into 2 pages or not. Once you take that off, when you come back and if you just say okay, when you come back in at that larger hoop size, you'll have an option. So if I come back, make this big again, and go back up to that application button and choose print setup. it's not there. So I don't have that option. So if I don't see that option and I want it, what hoop size do you need? You need the 130 by 180. And let me see what that is in inches for you. So we'll come back here and we'll go to, I believe it's the 7 by 12. Now, if we go back up here, print setup, all you have to do is change it to that hoop. You don't actually even have to resize it. Now you can divide your embroidery image into two parts. If you don't, when you go to print preview, it's going to just give you the center section. And if you do, it will divide it into two pages. Now, obviously, I am not in the correct hoop size for what I need right now, but if I take that off or I turn it on, I need to be in that 7 by 12 inch hoop, or the 180 by 300 millimeter. So now I can come in and pick this one, which is my 10 5/8 by 16. And that will automatically be checked. So if you can't find it, go back to that hoop and it'll automatically be checked, and you can choose print preview. There's the first half. There's your second half. That allows you to get it. Okay. So yes, it was a fluke that you found the magic hoop size settings. So, but just go back to that 7 by 12 inch hoop and it will get you going back to the way you need it. Okay. Now, if the other question today was color sorting, where is color sorting in PE-DESIGN 11? So let's put a few of these on here just so you see where it is. And I'm going to change that one. Let's change that fill to green and the outline to green just because. And then let's change this one to green. Oh, I want that outline of this one to be green too. Are they the same color of green? Let's see. No. There we go. Now I'm down to 3 colors, and that's what I wanted. So if I want to color sort at this point, they can't be overlapping. This is your color sort button. Optimize sewing order right there. Hit it, and you're now color sorted. Okay. However, if I undo that and I come over here and I overlap some stuff and I try color sorting, it won't do anything. Okay. So that only works when your colors are not overlapping, because it knows that it can't do that. Okay. That makes sense. All right. So somebody here says, what software will you start with? Well, Eileen, it depends on what you want to do. If you want to customize, I would choose either BES4 or BES Blue. If you want to create your own, then that is a PE-DESIGN item, because PE-DESIGN is our digitizing program. So it really depends on what you plan on doing. Okay. The trial version, you can just use it to test out certain features. You can't save, it's not a full functioning trial version. It only lets you do specific things, and you can't save, you can't send it to your machine. You can just see what works. You can look at the built-in fonts. You cannot do font mapping. You cannot use TrueType fonts. You can't go into the programmable stitch creator. It just is it's a very light trial feature. Okay. All right, guys. Now, let's have some fun today. Stem stitching when doing lettering. So stem stitching when doing, I'm not real sure what you're asking. Are you asking if I have just a single line that I've drawn and I want to use it as a stem stitch? That is probably going to be your best bet. Otherwise, it's not going to look very good. If you get things overlapping, it's going to be a little heavy. If you do, let's look at that. I'll answer that question before I go into playing. So let me go and delete this, and let's go pick a default hoop here. So we're back to small size, and let's come in here and put in some text. So here's me some text, and the reason mine's in a block view is because I have solid view selected down here at the bottom. So if I want stitch view, there's my stitch view. Here's my realistic view. To get a stem stitch, I would turn off my outline, my fill, and turn on my stem stitch. So obviously this is a little close together. So one of the things that I would do is I would increase my kerning. Kerning is the space between the letters. And that certainly didn't do much of anything, but let's go make it massive here. There you go. So you can see how I've increased the space between my letters, and it really is going to be font dependent as what one you like, what one you don't, what looks good, what doesn't. You do have some options with your stem stitch. You can have a double, or you can have the lighter single. That is one of your options. You have your spacing and you have your width. So you can also reduce that width down to where it's not quite as heavy. You can increase your angles to where it fills in a little bit better. And so you do have options. You can choose your connection point, and you're not going to see the connection point. So right now it's as digitized, which is the default. Closest is going to have the closest connection point, and the furthest is going to force the machine to trim if possible. Okay. So you're giving me another angry face, Lori. I'm going to have to take that iPad away from you. So can't do that to me. Okay. So having said that, I do have some text on. Ooh, I deleted that other fiddly-dee. All right. Well, let me do this. Let me save this design real quick, because this is what we're going to play with. We'll save it as Lucky. And then I'll get rid of everything beside. Actually, let's just put a stem stitch on this. It won't hurt anything. So here's our stem stitch on this one. And the Lucky is something that I drew. So that gives you an idea of what it would look like in that manner. So my width on that one is at 2. If I reduce it down, I like it a little bit better, and I would probably increase my angle a little bit. And on this, I can actually adjust the nodes and play with it to get it the way I would like it. But just kind of give you that little idea of how you would work it. So this is my thought for the day, and I'm going to show you how I went with this, and we're going to take this here. We will do it also in BES4 or BES4. BES Blue, you can do it as a satin stitch, but you cannot do it as a running stitch. Actually, we might be able to trick it to do it as a running stitch. And what was the other one? BS4, BS Blue, possibly Simply Applique. We'll see if we get to there or not. But I'm going to tell you where I got this first. The basic clover I brought in from my cutting machine. So I went to my cutting machine, and I went to the general category. So when you go into patterns, the second category is your general category. And then from there, I went to the floral category. And in there, you'll see a clover. Okay. That's I found a four-leaf clover there and went to that. And Trish, don't let me forget to come and answer your question. Yes, you can. If you'll remind me, I'll tell you how to do that. Okay. So I found a 4-leaf clover. So I went and I brought it up, and I chose save on the ScanNCut machine, and I saved it to CanvasWorkspace. So import from my cutting machine an FCM file. Okay. You're being ornery. Do not do that to me. There we go. Okay. So here's my basic clover. And what I did with this guy is I made him bigger. And then I clicked on my select tool and tapped it twice. Y'all know why I hate this big cursor now, because I have a hard time doing it. So I touched that guy right there because that's where I want to open this up. And I've touched the open icon. So this button right there is open your outline. And I am on the desktop version of Canvas Workspace. That is what I work in. So just keep that in mind. And I highlighted the points that I didn't want, and I pressed delete on the keyboard. So I got rid of those. And then I took this guy right here, and I had to grab him twice here. There we go. And I moved it right there. And that was my basic clover shape that I started working with. Okay. You can, if you need to adjust it, you can zoom in, and I need to adjust that just a little bit. So see that little point right there? That little hold handle thingy bobber right there needs to come flat so that it doesn't look so messy. No big deal either way. All right. So then I did another little thing, and I could have done it here in Canvas Workspace, but I don't like the drawing tool as well in Canvas Workspace as I like it in PE-DESIGN. I just find it easier, the one in PE-DESIGN easier to use. However, if that's not an option for you, you can come in here and you can choose, the leaf. And I chose an image from the computer, and I took a picture and emailed it to myself from my cell phone of the word lucky. And honestly, I don't care what it traces, but I'm going to change my number down to 2 here because I'm actually going to end up deleting it. And I'm going to crop that mess out and say preview. Actually, undo that. Make it big again. Preview. We'll just leave that mess in and say, okay, because I'm going to get rid of everything in my layers menu besides my image. So I can come in and grab those pieces and delete it. And now I'm left with my image. So all I have is my image and my lucky, and I'm going to shrink my image down to where it's small enough for me to play with. And you can send it to the back. So arrange, send to the back. So you could draw over it here if you want to, but that's not where I did it. Okay. What I did was I went into let's delete this backdrop. I exported this FCM file. So I did a couple of little things here. I exported the FCM file and I saved it onto my computer as a clover. And then I went into PE-DESIGN. So this one's, it's a little convoluted what I did here, just so we're clear on this. This is not a basic lesson today, but you could just bring that FCM file in and stitch it if you want to. So if I touch the import key and I go, here's my little clover that we just brought in. And I just double tapped it and said, basically it imports it then. And then you can shrink it down to the size that you want it. All right. And that image file that I had, I brought it in over here. So I went to open from file and I found my little lucky, and it's going to be huge on this hoop. So we're going to zoom out, go to our home tab, take our minus zoom and zoom out. Now I can select that and pull it in. And if you hold your shift key down, it will stay in the middle of your space. If you just pull it from the corner, so let me show you the difference. It doesn't undo that. So let's redo. Let me go back to my image tab and say modify my image. If I don't hold my shift key down, I'll show you what happens. It pulls it in from one side or the other. So by holding that shift key down, it just keeps it in the center of the space. Makes it easier to find. It's not a must do, but it does make it easier to find. So I am going to zoom in on this so we can see what we've got going on. And I'm going to rotate my image to the left. Okay. So now I'm going to go to the home tab and select select tool and move my text where I want it to go. And let me take my clover and putz around with it just a little bit and move it. So this is a little convoluted way of doing this, but I think you'll like the end results. And let's make Lucky just a little bit smaller. So go back to your image, modify image, and pull it in. Now I'm going to take some creative license with this and show you what I did. So we're going to leave it like it is. And I'm just moving the L to where it fits nice inside my little big loop there. Okay. Now let's hide our clover. We're not going to worry about the clover for right now. We're going to hide it and get it out of the way. So I basically clicked this and I hit the eyeball. So the eyeball turns it on and off so that we can and cannot see it. Okay. If I go to my home tab now, and let's go zoom in on this, I can grab my shape tool and my curved drawing tool, or I can use the pencil. Well, I'm going to tell y'all, unless I have a stylus in front of me and I'm working on a tablet, that is not my friend. I would rather go with my curved drawing tool. And I basically came in here and left clicked around this item. When you get to a place where you want to turn a corner, touch the Z key on your keyboard and you'll see how your cursor changes to a line tool. And then you can come straight down. And when you're ready to go back to a curve, the X key turns it back to the S shape. And the S shape is your curve. The Z looking shape is your straight. And the curve, you just want to click where you want it to bend. Okay. So I decided here I didn't want to extend that straight down. So I went ahead and I did a curve, did a corner, and I took it up, came back down, and switched to my curve key. And don't worry about it if it's not exactly in the spot that you want it. You can come back and fix it. We can do that, because that's exactly what I did. Is I came back and I did it. Now, on my C, so that I can see where I'm clicking, I clicked with the straight line drawing tool. You can come back in and change it later. And then I switched to my curve tool down here. All the way up to the top, Z key, straight down, curve, around your little, oops, let's go to Z key again. Take one click and then we can curve it. Straight. One click and then curve. Z key, straight back down, curve key. Z. Oops, went too far with that. So we're going to right mouse click and we click some way that we don't like. So I'm going to right mouse click out of that and go back to my curve tool. Okay, so now let's turn off our image. I went to my image tab and I can just turn that off, or I can use the F6 key on my keyboard to turn the image totally off, because I don't care about that anymore. I am now in the mode that I want to see my clover. So let's turn it back on and see where my text is in relationship to it. All right. So the first thing I did was I took this little point right here, select tool, select point tool, and I played with where I wanted it to go. And then through this magic, we're going to take this one over here and have it go out where we want it to go out. And we'll play with the rest of it in between here in just a sec. This little wing here is called a Bezier tool, and you can just kind of wing it, move the wing where you want it to go. So then I came in and I highlighted these points in between. Just draw around the ones you want to move, because I wanted it to fit inside my clover better. All right. So I did that, and I moved that little point right there, and we can say we want to straight, and then we want it to curve to make it curve a little bit better for us. And then you can play with your nodes. And then I took from the C and over, and if you don't get them all, you can come back and draw again. Or you can hold your shift key down, or your control, actually the control key, and grab any edit nodes that you didn't grab to begin with. Then left mouse click on one of those and move it over. I don't want it far, far away, but I do want it over. So that now I'm going to play with my U here a little bit. Now, if you have a drawing program, you could have done pretty much all of this in your drawing program first. But since these are actual drawing programs that we've got, they just happen to turn things into stitches, we can certainly play with it here, which is what I ended up doing. And then I want to get my Y. And I'm holding my control key to grab those extra points. And I'm going to take it over like this. And let's move that little node, and let's move that guy right there. Just play with it till you like it. All right, now you can then change them both to the same color. And you have a single color design, okay? You can futz with this a little bit more, play with it to make sure you like your text, whatever you want to do with it, okay? Now, if you want it to stitch as one continuous line, it is not going to currently, because it's going to stitch the clover, and then it's going to stitch the lucky. You can do this one of two ways. You can come in here and you can change your entry and exit points, or you can basically take a snapshot of this and trace over the whole kit and caboodle. I've done both ways, so I'll show you. First of all, line 1 and line 2. We want to first deal with line 1. Line 1, we want it to come in. Actually, I think I want it to, yeah, come in over here, and I want it to exit. So I'm going to have to trace back around it over here, which means that there will be no jump. There will be no trim. So if we watch this stitch, it went back over itself where it needed to go back over itself, and it continued the line. If you are in a PR hoop and you want to ensure that this did not trim, so let's go in and choose a PR hoop. This is the only time you'll see this, guys. So you see where it has the scissors next to this? You can turn the scissors off, and then it will not trim, but you would still want to change that entry and exit point to make it. Now, the other method that you could have used, which is what I ended up doing, is I changed this to a solid, okay? And I'm not sure why one of them is more solid than the other. I haven't really figured that out, but I did that. And then I used my Windows snipping tool and took a picture of it. So the SNIP on your Windows computer, you can take a picture of it. And then I opened up a new window. So where is my other window? Minimize that. There's the one I want to get rid of. All right, so let's hit new page. Right mouse click, input, and you can input it from your clipboard. So this is my picture of what I just created. And I'm going to take it and make it smaller here so that it fits in. Now you can zoom in, and you have to think about how you would draw this to where it would go in one continuous line. All right. So curve line drawing tool and decide where you want to start. What did I do? I do believe I started right here. So you can either do the text first and come on around, which is what I did, or you can do the outline first. But you draw it in one continuous line. So this is what you call pathing. And as you click, you're doing the same way this time, though. Instead of just doing the inside, we're doing the outside as well, to where this makes it all one continuous running line. Now, if you changed your entry and exit, guys, that serves the same purpose, just so you know. There has to be a jump of more than 10 millimeters for the machine to take a trim. And I'm simply left mouse clicking around and using the X and the Z key to turn corners. And the advantage of doing it this way is that I then get the opportunity to decide, okay, I didn't really like the way that Y ended. I can place with that. So I'm going to press my Z key and then go around this way. So you pick the one that you'll have the least amount that you have to go over twice, which this way is the least amount that I would have to cover twice. Because I'm trying to make it go one time around. And you'll notice I'm not clicking real close together. I'm just futzing around with it. Unless I've got a sharp curve, then I don't click very close. And the tool will do its job. It will bend for you. So let it do its job. Don't get real excited about clicking. Now here I want to go down. So I'm going to press my Z key and go down one click and then turn it back to a curve. And this is where I'm going to go over myself twice. My stem is going to be a little bit heavy. Z key and then curve key to finish it up. Double click and you are done. So the last thing I did on this page was use a stem stitch. I had changed mine to a triple stitch. You can play with it and do it. So yes. Any questions on that one besides Edna? Yes, you could. You could. I found it easier to draw it here than to draw it by hand. I'm not a great hand drawer. I mean, I can get something close to the shape and then I can make it what I want that way. You could draw with a ScanNCut. You could add lettering. You could scan it back in the Luminaire, and then you could edit it as well. You could do that in my design center. Yes. Okay. Yes, if you bought 10, you can upgrade to 11. All right, Cindy, I'll show you that in a minute, okay? Amanda, you've got a logo of a bird with its wing raised. I want to use the CanvasWorkspace so you can cut it out on ScanNCut. All right, so if I go back into CanvasWorkspace and let me bring in an image. Oop, you can't see what I'm doing. Let's go in here and let's import an image from our computer and let me find one. So let's say it's this one right here. Right now I've got trace outer edge only. I'm going to pull this in a little bit. And let's choose trace areas by color. So try the trace areas by color portion. And if it's not picking all of your colors up, adjust the number of colors. If you know you only want it to be 3, adjust it to 3. If you don't want it to include the background, you can have it take the background outline off or on. So I have my background outline off. I'm going to go ahead and say okay. But if you don't like what it is, you can toggle your image on and off, and you can come in and adjust your shape. So if you click on the select tool and you touch the area you want to work with once and twice, then you can adjust the nodes. I tend to hide my control points first and adjust, and then if I need to adjust the curves, I will do it at that point. So like that one needs to come down, and I need its control point because it's doing something funky right there. Now I can adjust that control node. That one, I want to hide the control point for a second, bring it over. Now I'll turn my control points back on, and I can bring that straight down. Or I can change it to a straight. So depending on what you want to do, you can change it to a straight or you can change it to a curve. And then you can adjust your nodes. To have the best results, I would turn my image on so I know what I'm working with and I can see. So now I know that that blue line right there is the 2 nodes that I'm working with. If I add one in between the 2, and that lets me come and adjust that. But that's how you adjust your shapes in Canvas Workspace. You're looking for the circle dot is what you want to play with. The squares are your nodes, your adjustment handles, your Bezier. So these are your adjustments. See how I adjust that curve? You generally want to play with you'll move your circles and then you play with your adjustments. Okay? And that's how you would play with that to get the wing raised. Now, you could also come in and draw with the drawing tool. So if you wanted to add something to this, you can always come in and add to it. As long as it is connected, as long as it's connected, it will tend to make the entire shape. So either one, Amanda. I usually use the desktop version, not the web version. I think it works faster. And I also have layers that I can turn on and off. I find it easier to do that. Okay, guys. So let's say we wanted to do that same Lucky in as a programmable stitch. How would we do that? Well, that one would require us to get the artwork first. So let me come back over here. And this is basically you would have done it this way right here first, okay? And you would have used your window snipping tool to take a picture of it. So if we remember how I did this last week, if we take a picture of it, that's how we get it working. Then go up to Option, Programmable Stitch Creator. Go to the View tab and open your template. Are you not going to can I right mouse click? Let me right mouse click, please. Oh, darn, I have to save the template. Dang it. All right. Well, hold on. Let's come back over here. Snip it. And let's save it. Okay. So now we should be able to go into our Programmable Stitch Creator, go to our View tab, and open up our template. And this is going to be on my D drive and in my live files. And, well, that one will work. Now, I need to make it smaller. So let me zoom out so I can see the edges of my template. Why are you not letting me get to see the edges of my template? You little monster. And remember, we can resize when we're done, which is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go and I'm going to turn off my grid. And we're going to go home and we're going to zoom in. Guys, something I haven't shown you is if you want to create your own shortcut, do you see this little shortcut menu right here? Customize quick access toolbar. We can say more commands. And if you want to choose something from your home tab, you say from the home tab. And let's say I want to choose my zoom tool, which would be down in the Z's. So I can zoom in, zoom out. I'm going to hold that in and add it. Zoom in, add, zoom out, add. And say, okay, so now if you look, I have zoom all, zoom in, which lets me zoom in on a particular spot, and zoom out, which lets me zoom out a certain amount. And then we're going to come in here and do what I just did. So except for this time, you have to click closer together to make curves. Bottom line, when you're trying to do a decorative fill, you do not have a curve drawing tool. You click closer together to make your curves. So any program that you have that does not have a curve drawing tool, that you can't switch between curves and straights, you just hold your and right mouse click anytime you click somewhere you don't want. And exact same way that we did earlier. Now, it doesn't matter as much here if I don't touch things. If I double click, it's not a huge ordeal because remember, we can use our grid to snap things back to grid to get them back where we want them to go. But today I am going to come here and I'm going to try to keep them all together just so that we don't have to worry with the snap to grid. When you have something that you know you can make without lifting your pen, then it's easier to do it all in one fell swoop. And we're just going to left mouse to click around. And I may change the shape of my clover bottom when we get there and let the software map it for me. I'm just going to, you can see I'm clicking a lot closer together this time around. Because if I don't, I'm going to have flat spots. How am I doing on time? Ooh, we gotta finish this up quick. So it's not going to be perfect. We're just going to get it done, okay? I'll perfect it later. But I actually think this one will be quite fun to have as a decorative fill. So I'm not going to bring my stem down yet. I'm going to finish that at the end and use my snap to grid function to get it there. Double click to finish it off. And now let's turn off our template. You can see I'm definitely not perfect. I could come in and finesse this a little bit and make it a little bit nicer. I'm going to come in and take my down to the bottom corner. And I'm going to come and take my L up to the top and see if we like it or not. Oh, come on. Double click. There we go. Well, I have a million little edit nodes there in that corner. And you can see all of them there. So let's just take all of those out and take that one and move it up. So you can see what I've got. I'm not real crazy about how I've got that. So let's see if we can't make this prettier. Okay, I'm snapped in my corners. And you could, like I said, you can come in and futz with this all you want. I'm not futzing a lot, but you can, obviously. But the big deal is we need to turn on our grid and snap where I added those lines together. We need to snap those to grid. So select point tool. We're going to take that, put it on that grid line, take this, put it on that same grid. Same thing with this. So that's all snapped to grid. Let's move, oops, too far. This, put it on a grid point. This, put it on a grid point, the same one. So now we should be snapped to grid in all parts. Oops. That was a... And we should be good. Let's try it. You'll notice I always put an A in front of mine so that I know mine are going to show up at the beginning. They either have a 1 or an A in front of it. All right, so let's use it. Home. Let's change our hoop. We're back in layout and editing. I'm going to put the 200 by 200 on. We'll just put it around this. Background fill, decorative fill, next. And pick your decorative fill. So let's see here. Where's a lucky? There it is. You will notice it is in a light color. You can change the size of it. So let's say we want it to be 50%. Let's update. We can do 25. I like 50. Let's go with 50 and see if we like it. And there you go. So, oh, I forgot to exclude internal pattern, but that's okay. You can see there's a plus sign here. If I don't want that lucky inside my lucky, I'm going to select it, move my cursor in, and delete it. So now it's just going around the outside edge. And there you go. Okay, so let's see here. How would I separate an image scan from the ScanNCut of appliques overlap so that they can be sent back to ScanNCut separately? That is clear as mud. Oh, I've done that a few times. I know what you mean. I'll have to do that another day, or you can go into the Education Connection and look through the files where I have scanned in the whole caboodle applique. I know exactly what you're talking about. You're going to basically crop into separate sections, or simply trace over each individual element and then scan the whole thing in. That is the easiest method to do. That would be what I would tell you. That is easier. All right. But I've done that multiple times. I've done it both in CanvasWorkspace and on the machine itself, giving you both methods of doing it. Okay. Let's see here. Let me go to BES because I believe we had a BES question. When you're adding your text, your move individual arrow handles disappear after you hit apply. What happened? To get those back, you need to touch the text tool again, Cindy. So if I come in here and I say happy, and I press enter on my, not enter, apply, or left click away, apply. If I click on my select tool, you'll notice my handles go away. If I want them back, if I touch my text tool, I then get my adjustment nodes back. Let's change to a standard font. So if you click off of it and you click on the select tool, or if you add something else in and you want to get it back, go back and click on the text tool and then click back on your text, and that gives you those adjustment handles again. Okay. Now, if we had wanted to do that same thing with BES4, you could come in. You do have a drawing tool, import your artwork, or if you have the base level, it would be import FCM. I have all of the, all of the power packs. So mine is import artwork, not just import FCM. So there's my FCM file. It's an artwork file right now. If I go to my View tab and I choose Backdrop tool and load Backdrop, that's where I would find my Lucky. And you can come in, oops, let me touch my Backdrop tool. You can rotate it. So I'm going to rotate it, and you can shrink it. I'm going to hold my Shift key down and shrink it in. And you can do the same thing that we were doing earlier just by doing this. And I can rotate it the way I want it if I don't want to rotate my FCM file. Let's come zoom in on this and see what we've got. And let's go back to our image, our view, and touch the backdrop again. And I want to move it a little bit more. And then you can go to your Tools tab, and you have an Artwork tool. If you have the base level of BES, you have the Line tool. You may have the Curve tool. I think you have the Line and the Curve. But if not, here's the deal. If you're drawing a line and you want to switch to a curve, hold your Control key down. Control key lets you go curved points. When you get to the corner, let go of the Control key. And we're going to go around this little guy. Let go of my Control key. I think I like the way I did it the other time when I rotated the clover instead of this. Was easier. But I'm simply left mouse clicking, guys. Double click, actually click and right click to finish the line. So now if you go to your View tab and you turn off Show Backdrop, now you're left with just your Lucky. You also have Edit Shape node, so you can come and highlight all those. And I believe it is the control, yep, the control, oops. Come and grab them, highlight them, and drag them over. Same way as I did before, I just did multiples at the same time just by doing that. Now, on this little guy, let me edit my shape and move this back down. To convert it, if you have the base level of BES, ooh, that looks awful. Hold on. I got to do a little bit. If I have base level BES, let me grab my select tool, click it. Let's change this to a straight. To line. That looks a bit better. Line. And that looks better. You get the point. That's how you adjust them. Line and cusp. Cusp lets you alternate both sides. So if you have the base level, you would have to go to your Tools tab and convert it to Applique first, because you do not have Convert to Runs, okay? You could then change from a satin to a run and click Apply. Once you have done that, right mouse click, Preserve as Stitches. This is the base level of BES and BES4. If you preserve it as stitches, then you can get rid of all of the tan colored items. And there you go. That is your Lucky. Now, where you see jump stitches, it is going to jump. So if you don't want it to jump, let's see here. If I touch this, and let's touch this single one right here. Oh no, I've preserved it as stitches. So I would have to make sure I didn't have jumps before I preserve it as stitches. Okay. If you have Power Pack 1, you can convert it to run off the get-go without having a problem. Okay. And you can pick whatever color you want it to be. If Yep. And those are, and simply applique, you cannot convert to stitches, preserve as stitches. So you would just stitch out your running stitch, your first running stitch. Okay. Or your last. Now let me see what we got. All right. The one I'm doing, can I do one portion of the, I could try that. You could, but then you have to get them, they don't join. It wouldn't be as quite as easy. So, but yes, you certainly could do one, copy, paste, rotate it into position if you wanted to. Have I missed any questions today? Oh, Trish, can you advance the design on your machine to the stitching and the color you want? Yes. So when you're in embroidery, at the very bottom of your screen, no matter which machine it is, at the very bottom of the screen, you'll have a plus and minus next to a needle. When you touch that, that lets you fast forward through colors in your design. So you'll either touch the plus arrow, or you'll, depend, what machine do you have? Depending on what machine you have is what you'll do. But if you see a plus sign, that allows you to arrow through the different colors till you get to the one that you want. Or on the luminary, you can simply, I believe, touch the color that you want to skip to. I think you can do the same thing on the 10 needle. So that allows you to advance forward and back through the, all right, Solaris, I do believe you can just touch it. So when you go to the plus minus, you should be able to just touch the color. But if you can't, it's been a while since I've sit there and futzed with exactly which icons where. But if you can't, then you can certainly just use the plus sign to get through it. Okay. Any other questions? So the Solaris is the same, is similar to our Luminaire. It's nearly the same, but not quite. Okay. All right, guys. Thanks for joining me today. I will not be here next week. I am taking a much needed vacay. So going with a friend to the beach for the week. And so I will not see you next week. But in the meantime, send in your questions for the following week. Okay. You tried the color, but it goes back to the beginning when you, all right, well, hold on a sec. Okay. I'm going to flop up my screen here so that you don't see my hind end. And let me look. Okay. Okay, so on the Solaris and the Luminaire, when you touch the plus minus next to the needle, that right below the segment that's embroidering at the current time, there's an up and down arrow. Touch the down arrow to forward through the different color sections. Okay. All right, guys. I will see you all in 2 weeks. I will actually also be on Sewing Machines Plus that week. I think it's their quilt festival. So if you're interested in hooping caps, I will be doing a cap hooping session on, I think, that Wednesday. So if that's something that you're interested in, you may want to tune in for that one. Even though it's quilt week, they're doing the hooping thing. Banners. Let's see here what we got. If you're not a member of the Education Connection, that is the group that has they've got a Excel file of what's in what lesson. So for the person who had the question about how to scan in the appliques, I'm pretty sure, I know I've covered that multiple times. So you should be able to find it there in the file section in that Excel worksheet. Coupon codes, these are good until, let's see here. I guess I'll leave them good till next week. But remember, I'm leaving. So LAT 4 is for the Lettering So Easy, which is your BES 4 or BES Blue workbook. DIG 10 will be the one for version 10, which is the one that I sell for version 10 and 11, because I've tried to address all of the questions for version 11 in these lives. So, all right, you guys. Thanks for joining me again today. I will see you in 2 weeks. Did I get 17? Nope, it's just Laurie. All right. Y'all have a great rest of your day and have a wonderful week. Thanks so much for joining. Bye-bye.